Yeah, I know, you guessed it. It would just have to happen, you know. I'd have to do like an official clarification video, and this is what people do on YouTube, don't they? You know, they create a video, do whatever it is they have to do, shove it up, upload it, and set the settings and all the rest of that so people can watch it. And then, of course, the next day, the day after, a few hours later, there's another video which comes up which basically like clarifies the whole issue of, you know, what they were talking about in the first place. And yeah, I've got to do the same thing. And I've received some criticism recently, and that criticism has not been the kindest of criticism. But so basically, so what? You know, I mean, all I can do is do either the best I can or try and promote a message the best way I can. No, the purpose of me being Nick Dutch is not just to be a defender of religion. I don't think that there is a point in doing that. Religion itself doesn't need defending because there's a lot of it out there. Okay. There's new ones, there's old ones, there's ones being created, some being destroyed, and the rest of that. You know, there's no need to defend something that's quite that big, powerful, and pervasive within society. However, when we come to the issues about the ideas which are in religious groups, when we come to the ideas which are present within New Age movements, as well as within more established faiths, there is a need to have I would say, a brighter or a more appropriate message coming across, because everything is down to the use of words. So people pick up on those words and they can reiterate them, can't they? They can repeat the same words or the same phrases again and again and again, as if to say, like, this is the argument, boom, there we go. Also, I mean, obviously that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Alright, but essentially, to the most part, that's a bad thing because it can stop people from thinking. So essentially, the whole broadcast has to be about thinking and getting people to think about the issues in question. The other aspect you need to think about is cognition. Now, the word cognition means about thinking, about the intellectual processes, okay? And the use of language can dramatically influence a person's cognitive perception of something or other. It can. It can dramatically affect the way in which people perceive or understand. This is why I've been railing against the pagans, the Wiccans, and the New Agers who carry on using the phrase magic works, because I think that's a complete and utter abomination to carry on being quite so black and white about something which is essentially unempirical, experiential, and experimental, rather than something which is, you know, just like 100% reliable, which of course things which are within the remit of occultism and spiritualism, they are not 100% reliable. There is no actual singular technique. Everything is down to trying to develop those personal experiences, which you can then use to try and explore further and further. But the same thing is true with essentially orthodox, proper religion as well. So I think people need to understand why they're doing it, what benefits they can get from it, what benefits they can't get from it. Yes, I do think that attacks against literalism is and can be a good thing, but also I think that some religious organizations need to explain why they're using some literalistic ideas for the purposes of assisting their group of people. I mean, if you think about it, if there was a religion that would say, like, yes, we've got this group of mythologies and ideas and individuals doing miracles and so on and so forth, which might have happened or might not have happened, we don't know either way. We would tend to err on the side of thinking that they didn't happen, but these are still culturally important ideas within our group of people, and therefore we can say that we can have some kind of loose belief in them, or indeed see that they are somehow connected to the story, rather than necessarily anything else. And then we can look at the story and look at certain perceived benefits, and see whether we can try and help people to achieve those particular perceived benefits. That would be a useful justification for a group to reliably be able to hold on to the stories of their traditions, but not necessarily say, therefore this happened. Alright, I believe it, it's therefore true, and literal, and all the rest of that, you know, because that would be insane. Alright, that would be like bad with like a capital B. So no, I'm not trying to protect religion. I'm not trying to put a little blanket around religion and say, I'm protecting this, it's mine, meh, you're not having it. What I'm doing is saying that let's just try and think about these ideas differently. So when I did the previous video, which is essentially about dopamine, brain chemistry, and the importance of using things such as religious ideas and religious experiences to help to generate this elevated dopamine level, and also to extrapolate from that rationally, quite rationally speaking, to say that that can therefore have some beneficial effects within society. That actually makes some sense. Now you might be able to say, well, the figures don't actually stand up to that. Let's have a look at this particular part of the world where they're all very heavily religious, but yet they're all engaged in this crime, that crime, and the other crime. Therefore, how can you say that religion is necessarily all that good when then there's an atheistic society over here where they don't have that many problems? Well, if you were to think about removing the religiosity from the troubled society, things would get a lot worse. And that would be my point of view. Okay, because there's already lots of bad things in that society anyway. So I don't think you can say that the correlation is purely to do with religion, as far as, you know, there being some kind of like, there's some negative stuff there because everyone in there is religious. I think it's much more a question of they got lots of other issues which need to be dealt with through separate means. Okay? And if the religion was taken away at this stage in the development of that particular group or society, that would actually be probably quite a negative thing. That would be my argument there. Okay, so let's just think about the use of words, the use of language, not just try and defend religion, although I personally would prefer a religious society rather than an atheistic one. That's just the way I am. Okay, and apply reason to both, apply reason to all of these different subjects.